Hello, welcome back to Issue Review from Haiti Liberté. This is the issue review on Wednesday, October the 8th of our 19th volume, 15th issue. We have the issue from the 8th of October to the 14th of October 2025. So we'll, as we did last week, continue breaking down the headlines of the week. And this week, we have a tragic headline to begin us off on the cover page. This is continuing developments from the drone bombing that the government launched in the Simone Pele community. That article was a few issues ago. It talked about the government drone bombing a birthday party. Really a horror story, for lack of a better term. But this is the article, and the headline is Funérailles collectives à Simone Pele. And the picture below is some of the photographs coming to us from the funerals taking place in the Simone Pele community, which was impacted by this drone bombing. A drone bombing which the government has not only not taken accountability for, but has also refused to help pay any of the costs for the funeral, as they might do for another disaster or earthquake or circumstance. But because they've claimed impunity, they have decided not to help in any way rectify this tragic bombing that, whether it was accidental or purposeful, remains to be discussed. The next article for our cover page, it features a picture of Henry Worcester, the charge d'affaires from the United States in the embassy in Port-au-Prince, and Mike Hankey, whose official title is conseiller principal de l'ambassade en États-Unis en Haïti, the principal counselor for the United States Embassy in Haiti, having a discussion there together. And the title for this article is Le Nouveau Scénario Américain. We will break down a little bit this meeting between the two of them, having an exchange together. And just as before, we have our side panel. So if you can see this physical copy of the paper, again, those watching may not have access to it, but you can see each of the articles and see what page they're on. This flipping book is again available on our website, HaitiLiberté.com, for this week. So we'll go in and continue to break down these headlines. Our editorial from our director, Bertini Tepon, is La dérive de la fausse vérité dans une société capitaliste. And discussing a little bit more about the broader discussion, which I believe last issue we had an article about fake news and the Trump administration, the MAGA people's use of fake news, but broadly talking about that, kind of the commodification of information in a capitalist society, which is always a pressing matter for discussion, and especially trying to combat that false information using a proletarian perspective is very important. So another editorial worth checking out from our director here at Haiti Liberté. In the À Travers Haiti section, this is the article breaking down a little bit about the new American scenario. Again, Henry Worcester was appointed as the charge d'affaires recently, and we've had a couple podcast discussions about him and his role. He had his press conference, which took place, which we talked about in our last podcast, or second to last podcast, which was him talking, denouncing the terrorists in Haiti. And then he's having a meeting with Mike Hankey, again, the principal counselor, and this article is by Isabelle El Papillon. So, continuing to talk about the situation, having a quote here, for example, our brother nation of Venezuela, from the Haitian perspective, the aggression being launched by the United States against Venezuela is an affront to Haiti itself. Of course, Haiti, under Jean-Jacques Dessalines and the leaders of independence, helped Simon Bolivar in the decades after the Haitian Revolution to lead the independence of Venezuela, Colombia. So America threatening their independence is very much a cause of Haitian concern, and we have some of the principal actors of malfeasance who are leading the charge and continuing their support to the quote-unquote transitional presidential council, which they set up under Anthony Blinken. There's a picture as well of the American embassy in Haiti, which is one of the largest embassies, really almost kind of its own citadel unto itself, and runs a very major surveillance presence and massive American influence in the country.
It's the fourth largest in the world.
Fourth largest in the world. Continuing in the À travers Haïti, we have the cover article, Funérailles collectives à Simon Pelé. Just a couple of just jarring pictures from the funeral, which took place from the drone bombing. And I think the pictures can kind of speak for themselves in a way, of just how devastating this circumstance was, that whether it was Vectis International led by Eric Prince or the government itself being armed with these drones. Yeah, these drones are just becoming a tool of devastation for the government. So a couple of the pictures here, and I'm just going to read some of the subtitles for the pictures. I think those might be worth hearing. So this picture here is a picture of a young girl who is 9 years old who was killed by the drone bombing in Simon Pelé. I think it's excellent to have the kind of mixing of these, the tragic pictures of the victims and their families having to organize this funeral again completely without support from the state. And then on the other hand, the meeting of the de facto prime minister, the unelected criminal, totally unaccountable prime minister Alex Didier Fils-Aimé, with Henry Wooster, who's leading the charge of American imperialism. So this article worth reading, kind of detailing in more just gruesome detail, for again just lack of other terms. And I should say as well before moving on that this article is by Marie Laurette Numa, contributor. So please definitely check out that cover article. Next in our section, always again keeping abreast of developments in the Dominican Republic in our Traverse la République Dominicaine section. We have an article about the Economic and Social Council, which is CES. Le CES est les anciens présidents soutiennent les politiques anti-ouvrières et anti-haïtiennes d'Abinader. Abinader, the president of the Dominican Republic. And the picture, again, is of the Le Conseil économique et social, the Social and Economic Council, featuring a couple of the different actors, such as the former presidents of the Dominican Republic, as well as the current president, Luis Abinader. And this article comes to us from the Mouvement des Travailleurs Socialistes of the Dominican Republic, a Dominican socialist organization contributing this article. and talking about this meeting of the former presidents of the DR getting together. One of the principal issues in the DR, for those who may not be familiar, continues to be the xenophobia directed against Haitian workers and the Haitian population that has had to go to the Dominican Republic. So this council, which we had an article previously which talked about how they are using the rhetoric of development and prosperity, on the other hand, continuing to marginalize Haitians in the Dominican Republic, many of whom are part of the working class and make up the bulk of the reserve army of labor in the DR. So worth kind of, again, just keeping in mind the dichotomy between the two nations on the island of Hispaniola and how they work together, and how the DR is the original proxy state for the United States. Again, the Haitian government is not much better currently, but there is a long history there. So there's an ad as well worth maybe pointing out, that there is for those in New York City, the Maysville Center hosting the Haitian Dominican Transnational Film Festival. That's this weekend from the 9th to the 12th. Worth checking out some of the films and panels that will be taking place. We have our Conecreo section, and to begin, we have an article on Codevi, which the title of the article is Nodes, Manifestation Ouvrier Codevio. This article is discussing a little bit about the protests being led by workers in the Codevi, which the picture might be a little small, but viewers can see it as well. Codevi, there is a industrial development company, and there's the Dominican flag and the Haitian flag there. So it's sort of a protest being led, again, kind of just following from the prior article. A protest being led by the working class, which is really united. We have the solidarity symbol here, the enjoined hands of the working class between Haiti and the DR, the working class kind of in both nations coming together, trying to protest for better working conditions and trying to unite the proletariat beyond these borders.
Codevi is a industrial park and free trade zone.
Free trade zone. Then we have a piece of poetry from our director Bertini Dupont, Haiti. And Haiti is the Creole name for Haiti, for those who may not know. I guess the Taino name for Haiti, or the Taino word for the island. And we have an article, a little bit of agricology, talking about the veritable plant, which we translated into English as breadfruit. Breadfruit, for those who may have had that before, kind of a Caribbean fruit, and I think I have tried that one time, and it was very good. And this article comes to us from Francois Severin, from Liberté number 185, from April 10th of 1996, and he was Aristide's agricultural minister as well. So interesting article about this fruit, and also kind of connecting the nature of agriculture and development to the continuing struggle for sovereignty for Haiti. Next, in our section on perspectives, in the perspectives column, we have Les États-Unis mettent la pression sur le Kenya. This article comes to us from Robert Amalemba, who is a journalist, an independent Kenyan journalist who is writing for the Standard in Kenya and the Mail and Guardian. This article is continuing to cover developments from the speech, for example, that William Ruto had made at the UN, kind of posturing for the United States and his handlers in the United States, and Marco Rubio paying a visit or having a meeting with him at the United Nations, and then canceling a visit that he was planning to make. So this article kind of covering some of the developments, for example, the role that the war in Ukraine has played in the relationship between Kenya and the United States. China as well, a very big factor, considering that China has a strong relationship with Kenya and other African nations, and on the other hand, the United States trying to push these countries away from China. So this article, I think it's also worth pointing out the nature of Kenya's presence, of course, in Haiti is kind of what connects us here, but that Kenya is trying to posture with other nations that were at the UN. On the one hand, protesting for Palestine, talking about needing to break the whether they use the word apartheid or not depends. But on the one hand, making a very strong show of solidarity with Palestine, but on the other hand, Haiti becoming kind of a on the chopping block for Kenya in particular. So that arrangement is worth following, seeing how Kenya continues to kowtow to the United States and the U.S. Certainly under Biden and now under Trump, it remains to be seen how much they continue to give in to some of the other demands that Kenya may make, for example. And the picture below is Kenyan officers who were deployed to Haiti, and that mission has come to an end, or is coming to an end this month. We have our article in our column from Catherine Charlemagne. This is Haiti d'une transition à l'autre, and the title of the article is 7 février 2026, en perspective, l'option Cour de cassation refait surface. Quatrième partie, this is the fourth part of this continuing series of articles on the Cour de cassation. And there are a couple of pictures in this article, one of which is the Supreme Court, or the Cour de cassation of Haiti. The caption for this picture: le bâtiment au champ de Mars de la Cour de cassation financé et construit au prix de 15 millions de dollars américains par Taiwan. So that kind of talking a little bit, just a continued discussion really throughout this article, some themes, just mentioning China and Kenya's relationship, and that playing a role in the U.S. aggression against Haiti and trying to push Kenya away from China. But this one, on the other hand, talking about how Taiwan is still recognized by the Haitian government and plays a role, its own sub-imperialist, imperialist proxy kind of role in creating industry that is allowing for super profits to be accumulated there, and that is really manufactured by their relationship with the United States, which protects them, and really they are part of China, which should be brought back into China. This week in Haiti, our English column, we have an article from Caravans Lucent, which is titled "Who Benefits from Haiti's Violence?" And this article is kind of breaking down the various factors at play in the violence that is going on today. And the prior article, which Curvins had, I believe 2 or 3 weeks ago, was kind of talking about, philosophically speaking, what is the violence going on. But this article breaks down a little bit more who are the actors at play, whether it's the NGOs. One may not think that NGOs have a role in violence, because that seems contrary to their stated role, but certainly they are a part and parcel of the apparatus which is enabling chaos and violence to occur. And of course, some of the factors that viewers of Haiti Liberté, readers, may be familiar with, such as the so-called gangs, self-defense committees, that these are organizations of the lumpen proletariat, the Reserve Army of Labor, and that they may really be utilized by either force, the bourgeoisie or the proletariat, just as Marx had pointed out in the 18th Brumaire of Louis Napoleon, that the lumpen proletariat is the dangerous class and that they serve a violent role under capitalism, but can potentially be used in either direction. Really, in Haiti, we see that more so with the Vivre Ensemble being directed by the demands of the proletariat and the anti-imperialist working class, for that matter. So this article explicates a little bit of who these self-defense forces or brigades are. In this picture, for example, we have just kind of to show you how violence, which we hear in very abstract terms, is part of a force of production, if you will, and that this is, for those who can't find work in the way that we consider work or jobs to be normally constructed, especially in the West, this is a form of activity and labor that replaces that. And so these brigades, using the physical labor power that they have at their disposal, in this picture are stopping someone from coming and going, which security guards in the United States and Western countries certainly do that too, but it's legitimated by capitalism and the bourgeoisie, whereas in this case, depending on who these forces are being utilized by, it may or may not be legitimated. So a very interesting article to consider how violence and force are really part of the ongoing class struggle in Haiti right now. And that is the title, who is benefiting from that violence? The bourgeoisie, for the most part, benefits from violence, but perhaps violence, as Fanon talked about, is a tool at the disposal of the proletariat as well, and the anti-imperialist struggle. We have our centerfold article. In addition to ad for Publix, we have a Manifeste du Caracas, a meeting in Caracas in Venezuela, talking about colonialism and neocolonialism, as well as the territorial aggressions of Western imperialism, and kind of, for one thing, highlighting the ongoing conflict between Venezuela's right to sovereignty, and, for example, that conflict manifesting in the border dispute with Guyana, which is the U.S. is certainly meddling in and having a hand in, and then also talking about the continued solidarity coming from around the world. For example, Puerto Rico showing solidarity against Yankee intervention in Venezuela. And this article was translated by Francois Lopez, and it comes from Bolivar Information from the 7th of October. So kind of, again, keeping abreast of developments with Venezuela in relation to Haiti, seeing some of the protests being led to show that imperialist intervention won't be tolerated in Venezuela. And Maduro attending that conference as well. Continuing in our perspective section, from perspectives from all around the world, we have an article about Greta Thunberg. The title Greta Thunberg maltraitée, humiliée et incarcérée dans des conditions déplorables. Greta Thunberg was part of as well as Rima Hassan, a part of the flotilla for Gaza, the boat Sumud. So you can see Greta here, and the intolerable conditions that she was kept under. We have an article from Peru, Mobilisation de la Génération Z, kind of keeping in line with our discussion of social media and Gen Z, this one coming from Peru. We have an article about Martine Millard, Osmose pour un regard métamorphosé, by J. Fatal Pial, talking about a work of art, and part of this article is in Creole, but part of it is in French as well, talking about this artist, Martine Millard, and her work, Osmose, which is talking about the African heritage in Haiti, and kind of using themes of metamorphosis and osmosis, which is an interesting kind of allegory. We have an article, Fake News et Manipulation manipulation géopolitique, comment l'Occident fabrique ses narratifs. Again, fake news, and this article coming to us from Bolivar Information, as well as a Russian source. In the article section vient de paraître, we have an article on a book by Franz Jean-Baptiste, Haïti au-delà du silence des élites. Essai sur la responsabilité intellectuelle en temps de crise. This is, as the caption says for itself, interrogation sur la responsabilité des intellectuels haïtiens. So kind of the petit bourgeois, what role are they playing in the crisis going on? Intellectuals, may they be in the diaspora or in Haiti? How do they contribute to the information war and the narrative war going on about whether it's violence or whether it's gangs or chaos, and kind of their need to have responsibility. It's a new book published, and this is from Franz Jean-Baptiste.
And the reviewer is Wiener Fleury-Montcurns, one of the founders of Haiti Liberté.
Yeah.
You could repeat, so.
Oh, the review from that prior article is from Wiener Fleury-Montcurns, one of the founders of Haiti Liberté. We have a really excellent article which is about Creole Flavor, which is a restaurant in Brooklyn, here in Brooklyn in New York, and this article is by Kim Ives. This is talking about the float that Creole Flavor sponsored in the Caribbean Day Parade, as well as them expanding to have a new ice cream shop. Haven't checked that out yet, but I certainly will do that. The float for the Caribbean Day Parade, it might be worth mentioning as well, was really took a lot of initiative and effort to have, and usually it's a multinational corporation like Digicel, which is Irish-based and is the telephone company for much of Haiti, but Creole Flavor, which is family-owned and run, was able to supplant that and actually have T-Vice, a popular compa group, be on board that float going down for the Caribbean Day Parade. So much appreciation for not only having music, having something people can actually relate to, not a big, corporate behemoth, but also expanding the operation and continuing to have Haitian cuisine throughout Brooklyn. We have our section À travers le monde, une mort et des dizaines de blessés lors de manifestations au Pakistan pour une meilleure gouvernance. We had an article, it was last week I believe, talking about, or perhaps it was a prior week, talking about the continued position of Pakistan. We talked about how Pakistan had abstained from the UN resolution sending the gang suppression force in, but these are kind of following the events in Pakistan, which have, ever since the deposition of Prime Minister Khan, have kind of spiraled. We have an article very important for this week in particular. La résistance palestinienne rejette tout accord sur la remise des armes, le qualifiant de sans fondement. Hamas kind of refusing and taking the leadership in refusing to give up their arms and rejecting the Israeli and American demands being put on them for Trump's so-called peace deal. Another article, Servitude suprême, exclusion de Cuba, de Venezuela, et de Nicaragua, talking about these three socialist nations being excluded from the summit of the OAS, and there's a picture of Abinader and Rubio. Finally, an article about Zoran Mamdani, the ongoing mayoral election in New York. And our last page finishes off with a nice picture of Trump as a pirate captain, and the title is very self-explanatory. Pirates des Caraïbes, la nouvelle saison. Trump continuing the piracy of America. So that's all for our issue review this week. Take care. See you next week.